Welcome everyone to this virtual session on how to build and manage a successful team. It's part of the Overcoming Obstacles, Barriers and Challenges series. I'm Joanna Pexa and I work in the Learning Enhancement team at Middlesex University. We guide students on different aspects of academic communication. And if you have any questions, email us on let@mdx.ac.uk. Today's session focuses on factors that make a team successful. We're going to look at understanding different team types, and also we're going to look at you as an individual, how you can contribute to a successful team. And let's start with a question, really. So what makes a team successful? There are three different core aspects of a successful team. So this is a task, individual, and the team. And when we think about the task, it's really understanding your assignment, your project, anything that you were given as a team, any project that you're working on as a group. And also the other factor that is important in teamwork is individual. So how hard you are willing to work, how hard you are willing to contribute in order for the team to successfully complete the project. It's also about the dynamics between the team members, so how well you work together with different people. So these are really the core aspects of a successful team. We're gonna look at them in more detail very, very soon. But let's have a look at different teams to start with. Different teams that work at university, so the teams that you will most likely work in are project teams, self-managed teams, and virtual teams. So let's start with the project teams. There are different challenges and opportunities that are linked to this particular type of a team. A project team is a well-structured team that works on a particular project, such as a report or maybe a group presentation. And within that team, very often members choose different roles or are assigned different roles, such as a leader or a note taker. They also work very often in a larger group. So diversity is one aspect of such a team, and also a structure. So having a role brings a structure, and also having a task that requires the structure is an aspect, a feature of such a team. So when it comes to a project team, there are certain challenges and opportunities. I mentioned the structure, and this is something worth looking at. So when you assign roles to your team, such as team leader, as I mentioned before, you will be looking at a structure, and it's very, very important to stay flexible within this structure, because when the structure becomes too rigid, when people start taking their roles too seriously, that might create conflict. So really thinking about how you can work within your role, but also adjust to the pace of working of other individuals. Management is another challenge. So when you are assigned a role of a leader, for example, that is something that can bring issues, but it doesn't have to. So it's really important to look at how you work as a leader. And let's just remind ourselves that a leader is not a person who requires work from other people or doesn't work themselves. It's a person that motivates others with hard work and enables other people to fulfill their potential. The next aspect of a project team is diversity. So this is something that can become a challenge, but again, it can also become an opportunity. Diversity can cause conflict, and I'm referring to diversity within the roles. So thinking about having roles that really suit an individual. If you are good at, let's say, research, think about how you can actually contribute with that role. Take on a role that really suits your personal traits in order to avoid issues and conflict. So challenges can become opportunities. Opportunities for a project team are also a great speed of task completion. So different roles and people working within these roles can achieve task completion within a very short time frame. And also assigned roles allow for clear communication. And this is another aspect worth looking at in a project team. So when you work in a team, when you are next assigned a task, think about whether you can work in a project team, how many people you need, what are the roles, and which role suits you best within such a team. The next type of team at university is a self-managed team, and these are the teams that work together. So for example, it could be a study group. It doesn't have a clear structure, so that can lead to conflict sometimes, and it can become a potential challenge. You also have an added layer of responsibility because, for example, if you work in a small group of people with mixed responsibilities, then it might feel that you are doing too much and you are responsible for too many things. So again, communication is key to achieve your task, and also communicate and also be able to understand the boundaries of your role. Sometimes self-managed teams can be damaging to personal relationships. Again, I will mention communication here. This is something that you might have experienced already. For example, criticism, if it's not constructive, that can damage a rapport between colleagues, rapport between you and your fellow students. So this is something, again, it's worth establishing at the very beginning. Opportunities are greater autonomy. So you don't have an assigned role, there are no boundaries per se. That can bring you greater freedom in doing different tasks. Also, you have a responsibility that is sometimes greater. That increases sense of authorship. You become more aware of what you need to do and how you can contribute to the team. So that brings a sense of accomplishment. It also develops self-motivation because if there are no boundaries, if there are no clear boundaries to your role, that enables you to develop self-motivation because you have to really create boundaries for yourself as you go. So the role is not clearly assigned to you. As I mentioned, study group could be one example. If you're working on a group presentation, again, that's something that might be linked to a self-managed team. So think about, again, the task that you're doing, whether you can actually, with your personality, become part of such a team, which is self-managed. And last of all, I want to bring your attention to a virtual team. So I mentioned at the very beginning that virtual teams become more and more common in the current situation with COVID-19. There are certain challenges to it. So first of all, it's technological issues. We as educators know that it's sometimes very difficult to shift between different types of software. It's very difficult to navigate different types of software that are required for you to work on. Another issue could be a lack of communication because you're not seeing people face to face. It's all done virtually. It can also create a sense of isolation. So these challenges are worth looking at, and it's worth looking at how you work best. So pacing yourself, not being too strict with yourself either. But also, working in a virtual team can also bring you opportunities, so you can develop new skills. So again, if you have a knack for technology, this is something that you might want to explore. Even if you don't, think about how you can engage with, for example, university support. So I mentioned that I work in the learning enhancement team, but there are also other teams that can help you with that. Our IT team is always available for you to get help. It also, working in a virtual team can also create a better life-work balance. So you can manage your own time. You don't have to commute. You don't have to attend sessions that are timetabled, for example. And also another opportunity is access to larger infrastructure. So you can seek help from anyone, from any corner in the world. And this gives you more freedom. And it seems that for the foreseeable future, we're going to work in virtual teams most of the time at university. So it's really worth exploring opportunities and thinking about how to turn challenges into opportunities within working in a virtual team. And the next question is really to you guys. How do you normally work in a team? So do you think it's difficult? Can it be demanding? And what does it require? And I would like you to take pen and paper now and list at least 5 qualities of a successful team. So when you think about the types of teams that we were discussing, think about what qualities these teams have and also what makes these teams successful. So an example of that could be punctuality or clear communication. So have a go at listing 5 qualities. I'm going to be right back, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about that. Okay, so let's have one more minute. So remember 5 qualities of a successful team. You can take inspiration from what we've discussed so far, but also look at your experience. Okay, so let's have a look at what I've got. And you're very welcome to have different ideas. So my suggestions are punctuality, effective communication, focus on goals, support and commitment. And I chose these qualities because from my experience, I know that things like punctuality are really important. It's really important to be on time. It's really important to show your colleagues, your fellow team members that you care by attending scheduled meetings on time, even if it's online. This is something that makes a big difference. Also, effective communication. This is something that many people overlook. Even if you have reasons for not attending a session, a scheduled meeting, for example, it's very, very important that you let your fellow team members know. So have their phone numbers, create a WhatsApp group, create a group where you can freely communicate online, even if you're out of reach, even if you can't really attend a meeting. Always let your team members know. The other quality of a successful team for me is focusing on goals. And I mentioned the factors that make a successful team at the very beginning. So this links back to the aims. When you have a clear aim, when you know what you're doing and you know the boundaries of your role, your work becomes so much easier. And also support. So people very often are afraid to ask for the support. I think it is very important to be able to reach out to your colleagues and explain why you can't do something, what are your reasons for that. Again, that links to effective communication. By asking for support, by supporting each other, you're showing your commitment. So thinking about how you can contribute as a person, as an individual, we all have, we all have our life going on in the background, so it's very easy to get distracted. But think about how you can show commitment to your fellow team members. So whether it's completing your milestones within this larger task, such as a project, or maybe it's being proactive in your work, showing other people that you care by really completing the tasks assigned to you within your role. So these are the 5 qualities of a successful team. These are really important for me, and this is something that you might want to consider for yourself, and also thinking ahead, using the most of your time at university as a team member. Many projects at university will be team projects. You will be working in a new environment, so think about how you can actually contribute with these qualities to a successful group work. Okay, so let's carry on. Now I would like you to talk about and think about your own experience. So how do you normally work in a team? Think about the issues that you encounter. So again, make notes while you reflect on these questions. What issues do you encounter? How do you deal with the issues? Let's remember that conflicts are unavoidable. So I'm not going to tell you, conflicts can be avoided in a team. They will arise. The question is how you can manage them as a team member. The word communication has been mentioned here already quite often, but I cannot stress that enough. Communication is the key. And also being able to constructively criticize yourself and your colleagues. So that forms, again, part of successful communication. Think about the issues that you've encountered so far as a team member, as a team player. So, for example, when we talked about punctuality, how would you deal with a person who is not turning up on time? Whether you would establish a protocol for your team, maybe you want to create a contract for your team to start with. So be very clear about the goals of the team, where you're going with your group work, and how you want to deal with the challenges. It's very important to agree at the very beginning with your fellow team members that challenges will be there. It's also very important to acknowledge how you're going to manage these challenges. So again, this is something for you to think about. And that leads us to thinking about yourself as a team player. So what kind of team player are you? Think about your qualities. This is, again, part of self-reflection. So that might require you to take a bit of time, think about how you work with other people. And I know for some people it's quite challenging to work with others. Nevertheless, remember, that's part of your university life. That is also part of your professional life. And whether you sometimes like it or not, you will have to work with other people. So this is thinking about yourself as an individual, but also the dynamic that you bring, that you create within a group. And the key question here is how you can contribute to ensure the success of your team, and what personal challenges do you need to overcome as an individual in order to create the conducive environment, beneficial working environment where everybody will thrive as an individual. So this is quite a big responsibility here. You've got a responsibility, to complete a project, but you also have a responsibility towards other team members, make them feel valid, make them feel valued in your team, regardless of your role. Okay, so even if you're not a team leader, even if you're not managing your team, your role is still very, very important. Okay, so think about the different puzzles, think about the different pieces that form a puzzle. You're a piece in a puzzle. Your role is very important, although you are a part of the unit. Without you, this unit wouldn't exist. So your role is crucial to the success of the team. And think about how you can benefit your team with your unique qualities. Okay, so we're thinking here about being reflective about yourself, about your personal qualities, about the qualities that you've gained throughout your student life so far, throughout your personal life, and how you can use these qualities to benefit other people and your fellow team members. I mentioned conflicts when I talked about working towards resolving challenges. But let's have a look at conflicts again. So it's really important when you think about, how to deal with a conflict if it arises. It's really important to think about the origins of that conflict. So asking a question, what happened and what was the problem, is the first step to resolve a conflict. Also, how did you deal with the issue? So that's another important question you might want to ask yourself when you deal with a particular conflict in your group. Was there anything you could have done differently? So it's again part of your personal reflection and thinking about how you can progress with that. So maybe it's worth looking at yourself, looking at how as an individual you can potentially have a role in resolving a conflict that has arisen in your group. And some of these questions are really for you to reflect on the conflict itself. So how would you deal with it in the future? Conflicts will happen. They're not something that we want to remember. We very often want to forget about the conflict, but it's worth stopping for a minute, pausing and thinking about how you can deal with this conflict in the future. Also, when the conflict is really, really personal. So if you're, for example, a person that is being criticized, maybe the criticism has been fair and you need to accept it. So I know it's sometimes hard to do that, but conflicts very often arise from criticism. And again, it's about communication, how you communicate this criticism and how this criticism is being communicated to you. So being objective in such a situation is crucial for the conflict to be resolved. So this is worth remembering for the future. And to finish our seminar, I would like to show you a checklist for successful teamwork. So you can use this checklist for yourself, for your next project, for your next teamwork activity. There are different questions that are worth asking each and every member in the group. So are the aims of the project clear? So again, this is linked to what we discussed in this session. Are the targets agreed? At the very beginning, remember that you need to communicate effectively what you want to achieve in this project, how you want to complete it, and whether everybody is clear on what they're doing within their role. Also think about the information you need. Do you have everything that you need in order to complete the project? Do you have all the resources, all the equipment? Have all the responsibilities been delegated fairly? Are you working towards a particular timescale? Is it realistic for each member of the team? Have you scheduled meetings? Have you scheduled sessions where you can work together? Have you allocated time for yourself to work on the tasks that you can complete individually, for example? Again, I'm thinking about communication. Are there any problems during the project? What are they? So that links back to the conflicts. How will you deal with the conflicts? And do you need maybe assistance or advice from anyone? So think about the network of people you can use in order to complete your project successfully. So who is it? What can they do? I'm thinking about the people outside your team and also inside your team. So that really relates to getting support from each other. Are you prepared to give support to each other, and how? What are the ways that you will that you will communicate that. And last of all, don't be afraid to get help from other people. And we understand that different, challenges will bring you maybe as a student to be willing to contact us. So here are our contact details. When you click on the image, you will be redirected to the Uni Hub. You will find us in the study section of the Uni Hub, and you can see amongst other services we're available here. So if you click on academic writing and numeracy, you can see a range of services that we provide. At the moment, we are offering tutorials. Okay, so it's our summer provision. If you click here, you can book a tutorial. You can book a maths and stats tutorial, amongst other things. They last 30 minutes. They're one-to-ones. We also have a range of online resources available. So explore this page. Get ready for the new chapter in your life. If you feel stressed, let me just go back to our presentation. If you feel stressed, get in touch with counselling and mental health. So in the Uni Hub section, in the Uni Hub page, you will have a section on support and well-being. Please reach out to us. We have many amazing teams that can help you enrich your university life and can help you achieve your best. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending this session. If you have any questions, again, contact us on let@ndx.ac.uk. I'll see you very soon, and I wish you all the best. Take care. Bye-bye.